Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of David Rides a Trike. I'm David, I'm riding a trike. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, I try to provide a little motivation to people, especially those with chronic illnesses and disabilities, to get up, go outside and do something fun, ride a bike, in my case a recumbent trike, walk, run, get a little exercise, because it is fun and it makes you feel better, assuming you have doctor's permission to do so. And today I'm actually going to talk about yesterday. Yesterday was kind of a big day for me. It was my 65th birthday, and honestly, I never knew, and I think a lot of other people in my life were never sure if I would make it to that point. But I have, and I want to talk about those who have helped me get to this point. Now, there's the medical professionals. I've had some phenomenal doctors and nurses in my life, both who have done amazing things, taken care of me when things looked really bleak. But I also want to talk about my friends and family. And I'm kind of going to go in chronological order here, starting with really from the time I was a toddler and I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was a year and a half old. And I'm going to begin with my parents. My parents did a remarkable job with me. I was diagnosed as a type 1 diabetic in 1957, and it was extremely rare back then for somebody as young as I was to be diagnosed as a diabetic. The doctors, I don't think, gave me much of a chance to make it beyond about 30. That's what my mom told me. She told me when I was over 30. But the most amazing thing I think my parents did was, while they taught me how to take care of myself as a diabetic and what I had to do, what I had to be aware of. Keep in mind, this is back in the days before there were home blood glucose monitoring tests, insulin pumps. Back then it was just a glass syringe with a stainless steel needle and insulin. You took the same amount every day, and you really never knew what your blood sugar level was. But the remarkable thing my parents did was, while making me aware of my health situation, they raised me as a normal child. They didn't put restrictions on what I could do. They weren't overly protective, and that's not an easy thing to do. But they did. I know it was difficult for them at times, but the older I got and started looking back on that, the more amazing I thought it was. My mom in particular, she taught me how to give myself my shot, what to do when I thought my blood sugar was low, always to carry a couple pieces of hard candy in my pocket for that purpose. But all the while, she didn't treat me like I was fragile or I don't want to use the word special, but she didn't treat me like the diabetes was a big factor in my life, even though she knew it certainly was. I also want to talk about my friends. And I'm not going to name any of them because there are too many and I'm afraid I'll forget. But I've had a remarkable group of friends throughout my life, starting from kindergarten, really. And I still am friends with some of those people. I think when I first went to school, because I was the only diabetic in the school, I was a little bit different. And I believe I felt a need to kind of prove myself that I was, well, probably trying to prove that I was better than the rest of them. And as a little boy, the only way I think I knew how to do that was to try and be tough. I got in a lot of fights, was kind of a bully, and I'd actually like to say to any of those people that I was mean to, I'm sorry. You know, it was a stupid thing. Like I say, I think I was just trying to prove myself, and I apologize. But nonetheless, I did make a lot of friends and everlasting friends. Throughout high school, I had great friends. When I got to college, I met new people. As a matter of fact, I was still carrying that tough guy act when I first went away to school. And one of my roommates freshman year, very early on, said to me, "What's with the tough guy routine?" And I thought, you know, that's a damn good question. And from that point on, I really started trying to be more considerate, more compassionate, and I dropped the tough guy act. The guy who said that to me, my friend, is actually the one who eventually surprised me and bought me this trike. And we're still very good friends today. You know, a lot of the people, the friends in my life, I don't talk to regularly or as regularly as I'd like to, but I know they're all out there, and if I needed anything, they'd be there for me. My family, growing up, I had two older sisters, Roz and Judy. Roz was the oldest, and she unfortunately passed away 19 years ago. She was only 57 years old, and she died from ovarian cancer. My other sister, Judy, well, I could sum up Judy very easily. When I was first diagnosed with end-stage renal failure, it was 1981. Actually happened when I was applying for my marriage license. And she immediately said she wanted to donate a kidney. Now, back then in Illinois, they weren't doing living kidney transplants, only cadaver donors. But she insisted she wanted to donate, and after doing a little research, we ended up going up to the University of Minnesota. I had the transplant in I was diagnosed in 1983, not 1981. We went up to the University of Minnesota in the summer of 1986, and I got my first kidney transplant because of my sister Judy. She truly is an amazing person who would do absolutely anything for me. And then there's my, I guess, newer family. my wife and son and daughter-in-law. Debbie and I started dating in 1981, and at that time my vision was starting to become pretty bad, but it made no difference to her. And as I said before, when I applied for my marriage license back then, I was told I had end-stage renal failure. And through everything that's gone on in my life, on your left, all the medical dramas and traumas, surgeries, hospitalizations, Debbie's been at my side, taking care of me, watching over me, protecting me, finding out from the doctors and nurses, what do we have to do to make sure David's okay. We spent Debbie's 30th birthday at the University of Minnesota Hospital. That was when I got my first kidney transplant. And throughout my life, people have said to me, oh, you've been through so much, you know, it's amazing, how do you do it? I haven't done anything. I just had to be a patient and listen to the doctors and do my best to take care of myself. Debbie's the one who had to do all the work. She had to nurse me at home, and she had to do the worrying. That might sound a little weird, but hang on a second here. That might sound a little weird, but I've always said it's much easier to be the patient than to be the loved one immediately next to the patient. All of the trauma and anxiety was on her, and she's been amazing. We've been married now for 37 years, and there couldn't have been a better match, not just because of the medical things, but just overall. She's the love of my life, always has been, and always will be. And finally, there's my son Lenny and our daughter-in-law Allie. They both, well, Lenny grew up with me watching all kinds of medical soap operas with me. Was I going to survive? If I was, what was I going to look like in the outcome? And he's always been there as he grew up into an adult. Anytime I had a doctor's appointment, he and Allie wanted to know what happened, what the doctors say, what about this? And lots of questions, and all in an effort to ensure that I was getting the best care. So, to my family, my friends, the doctors and nurses out there, I'm going to borrow a line from one of my favorite songs, and that is, I love you more than words can tell. And that's really true. I can't express enough my love for my friendships, the gratitude I have towards everybody who's been there for me, cheered me on, and gotten me to this point. That's it for this episode. I'll see you on the next ride. Bye-bye.